Hi, welcome to another video. So today I thought I would just sit down and talk about some things I've learned over the last sort of 15 months of owning the Wattbike Atom Next Generation. I've come across quite a few things in that time and they've really helped me get the most out of the Wattbike. So I thought share them here. Hopefully it'll help some people. I know a lot of people are buying these sort of bikes at the moment because it is winter time, and hopefully it can help you too. And also, one of the tips is about using a Wattbike with Zwift or other similar apps in ERG mode, because I know that is a problem mentioned on a lot of the reviews, and there is something you can do to help with that. So I'll put timestamps in this video so you can skip to the bits you're interested in, and yeah, hopefully you find it useful. So before I start, I did do a review and sort of initial thoughts on the Wattbike when I first got it in 2021. So I'll put a link to that above or in the description. And also I just want to say thank you to anyone that used my referral link in that, because I know a few of you did, and when you use my referral link you get £100 off the bike, and then I also get a voucher. It used to be Sigma Sports, it's now Amazon I think. But yeah, thanks for doing that. Hope you're enjoying the bike, and if anyone is interested in buying one, I will put my link in the description below so you can use that for £100 off. So yeah, let's get on with the tips now. So my first tip, and actually my first 3 tips, are all going to be around the fit of the bike and also sort of comfort on the bike. And that's because it's really important for 2 reasons. One, working out indoors on a static bike, and one like the Wattbike Atom that has very little movement in it, it's really important that your position's really dialed in, because otherwise you will suffer, you'll have pain, and yeah, it will just be unpleasant, and that will mean you don't use it much. Because you just don't enjoy using it, and that's not why you bought the bike. Another reason is because you want to make sure it fits in a similar way to the bikes that you're going to be using the rest of the year outside, because you don't want to have any sort of extreme positioning changes when you move from your indoor to your outdoor bikes. And I know this from personal experience, because I had the bike set up incorrectly, the Wattbike that is, when I first got it. And this meant switching between indoor and my outdoor bikes, sometimes a little bit uncomfortable. And I'd go for a long ride outside and I'd start having a little bit of back pain. And that's just because over winter, my body had got used to the position of the Wattbike, which was different. Maybe not incorrect, but different. So yeah, the first thing is the actual fit of the bike. So there is a bike fit calculator you can do on the Wattbike website, and what that does is it just gets you to use your current road bike to take a few measurements, and then it tells you how to set up the Wattbike. It's quite easy to use. You do need a bit of equipment like a plumb line, and you need to obviously a tape measure and be able to put the bike up against a wall so you can take some measurements from it. So yeah, when I got the bike, that's what I did. I used their calculator. However, that is the fit that didn't really work for me, and I don't know why. I don't know if it's just because I didn't measure my bike as accurately as I should. I know the plumb line that I used was a little bit poor in quality, and yeah, I don't know. It just didn't work out for me. So what I actually did was I got my road bike, which I know fits me perfectly. I've been riding it for 5.5 years with pretty much the exact same geometry setup, and I can ride that bike all day, every day, for multiple days in a row and not have any problems. So I know that bike is pretty much perfect for me. So I put it up against a flat wall, and I basically drew the planes. So you've got all the contact points. So you've got the saddle, choose a point on the saddle to reference. We'll move on to saddle later. If you're following my tips, you only need to choose a point and reference it. You've got the handlebars, and you've got the center of the cranks. They're the 3 points that I used, and I just measured the distances between each of them and then just replicated that on the Wattbike. And since doing that at the start of this sort of autumn, it's been brilliant. I've had such a comfortable experience on the bike, and it's just transformed it for me. And in fact, if you were to check out my Strava, you'd see that my indoor riding this year has really stepped up. I'm using it so much more just because I'm enjoying using it. So yeah, that's my first tip. Try using the calculator first of all, but if it doesn't work out for you, then yeah, try doing just manually measuring the bike. One thing you can't adjust on the Wattbike is the crank length, so it might not be the right crank length for me. I can't remember off the top of my head what the Wattbike is, but I think it is a smaller crank length than the one I'm running on my outdoor bikes. So yeah, you can adjust that. So yeah, you'll just have to accept that it's going to be different. So my second tip is saddle. You need to use the saddle that is right for you. Wattbike provide two options now with the saddle. There's I think it's called the race saddle, which is the one I got. That's the only one you could get as standard. And now you have the option to switch that when you buy it, I believe, for the comfort saddle, which was always available as an optional extra, but never as a switchable sort of option. And the race saddle is awful in my opinion. It's really uncomfortable, and if you look at it, then it doesn't look too bad. It's got like the right sort of shape that you'd expect from a kind of road bike, and it's got a channel, but it's just really is uncomfortable. And the comfort saddle is more like a traditional, I want to say, ladies saddle. It's really thick, really padded, and yeah, I just wouldn't try it personally, but maybe it'll work for you. So what I did is I bought the same saddle that I use on my outdoor bike. I know that saddle is good for me, and I know I get on with it, and it also made it easier to measure up and fit the Wattbike to me. So yeah, that's my second tip, is saddle. And my final tip that's around the sort of fit and position of the Wattbike is, if you aren't going to use the TT position and the TT bars to use the Wattbike and ride indoors with, then remove the arm pads completely. It's just a few bolts to remove them, and by doing that you get so much more space on the tops to use those, and the comfort is just greatly increased. The bars are not hugely wide to begin with, so by having the armrests on there, you're losing a little bit of width, and they get in the way of your wrist a little bit. So yeah, my tip is to remove those completely if you're not going to use them. If you do want to use them again in the future, you can refit them. It's not difficult. Everything on the Wattbike is just bolt on, bolt off. So yeah, that's a really important tip. I did that really early on, and it really improved the experience of using the Wattbike. Okay, so the fourth tip is a really simple, really minor one, and that's just to make the bike level. So someone on one of the Wattbike owners group recently was complaining that their Wattbike was not sitting level, and they were actually tilted when they were on it. And it maybe not everyone knows this, but the feet are adjustable. You can wind them in and out and make them level, which is great if you live in a house that maybe is not perfectly level like me, or maybe it's just been set wrong when you first set it up or when somebody first set the bike up. So yeah, you can adjust the feet, just spin them in and out, and it'll make them level. Okay, the next one is fans and staying cool on the bike. So that's really important, especially if you're going to be doing hard workouts on Zwift or any other platform, or if you're going to be doing racing. So I actually use a couple of fans. You'll be able to see probably just behind me on the windowsill, there's just your cheap basic house fan, which I do use, and that is all I had for a long while. But then when I got the Wattbike, I quickly realised that I really did need to upgrade my fan to something that was a little bit more powerful and yeah, just a bit better. So like everyone, I looked to what options are out there, and there is the Wahoo Headwind, which looks an amazing fan, but it's £200, and I don't really think I need the heart rate control that it offers. So I started looking elsewhere and ended up getting the Cleaver fan. So this is a manufacturer of, I believe they're carpet cleaning or carpet drying fans originally. So they're kind of for small scale industrial use. And people started buying them because they're cheap and powerful. And the company that make them actually realized that people were doing this. So they brought out a fitness specific version, which is all black rather than some weird industrial yellow and grey, I think it was. So it looks a bit nicer in people's houses. And crucially, it also comes now with a remote control that's on a band. So you can attach that to your handlebars and then adjust the speed of the fan from the remote control, so you can have it off speed 1, 2, 3, which is really good, because if you're like me and the bike's in a cold room, because you don't want the room to be hot, when you start a bike ride indoors, it's pretty cool and you don't want the fan on, but then you quickly warm up and want to have it on a faster speed, and maybe you're doing intervals and you want to have it on an even faster speed when you're doing the hard intervals, and then drop it down again if there's quite long periods of rest. So it's really nice to have that remote control. They did charge a bit more. I think it's about £30 more to have the one with a remote control, but it's well worth it to me. And there's always 10% off vouchers flying around. You go on their website and you usually get a pop-up offering you 10% off. So so it works out at £90, I think, for the fitness one with 10% off, which is pretty good. Okay, so next tip is about just making sure you keep the Atom in good condition. So it's just simple stuff like wiping it down, keeping it clean, and also not getting too much sweat on it, which I know is a bit of a weird thing to say when it's an exercise bike, but parts corrode. If you've used a road bike indoor on a turbo, you will know that stuff does start wearing out because you're sweating on it, sort of bearings and that sort of thing. So I just use a cheap sweatband I got off Amazon. It's not great. I probably would like to get a nicer one, to be honest, but I've had it a few years and it does the job it needs to do. So I've resisted buying anything new. So yeah, get yourself a sweatband to catch any sweat that comes off you while you're on the bike, or the majority of it. And then after you've done any hard workouts, if the bike is sort of got bits of sweat and stuff on it, just give it a wipe down. I always wipe down all the touch points because you'll find that, like around the handlebars and stuff, it always gets really sweaty when you're doing any sort of workout. So yeah, just keep on top of it. Okay, and the last tip, and probably the one that is most interesting to people, is how to make ERG Mode just a little bit nicer on the Wattbike Atom. So a lot of the complaints that people make about the Atom and the next generation, the first generation is particularly problematic, but it's still problematic on the next generation, is that when you're in ERG mode, it's not very smooth. So say it's saying hold 200 watts average, and you are pedaling smoothly, you think you're pedaling smoothly, and it's just kind of fluctuating a little bit, sort of 190, 195 up to 205, 210, and it does seem to fluctuate a bit. And especially if you come from a device like a Wahoo, they seem to be really smooth and really easy to hold a steady power in ERG mode on. And we're kind of going into my opinion now, but my opinion is that the devices like Wahoo have a really aggressive smoothing algorithm. So they're just hiding your real power. And this is probably controversial to say, but they're hiding your real power. It looks smooth, it makes you feel better, and it doesn't really matter. You're working out at about the right level. The Wattbike is more true to power, and that's why you see more fluctuations, because it is hard. If you go outside and ride with a power meter with no power averaging on, so no smoothing, it's really hard to keep a steady power. So Wattbike have recognised this, and they are now offering an option to turn on additional smoothing in ERG mode. So I'll do this on my phone now so you can see what you need to do. So yeah, you go to the Wattbike app and click the little cog at the top, and then go to profile. And then if you go to the bottom and go to ride settings and just turn on ERG mode smoothing. And what this does, as you can see, it stabilizes power data displayed in the hub and third-party apps, so you get more stable power. It doesn't impact the resistance, and it's just kind of, in my opinion, replicating what the likes of Wahoo and even Tax have been doing so well for a long time. If you watch some of my really old videos, you'll know that I used to have an Elite Zumo, and that was similar to the Wattbike. That didn't have brilliant smoothing. So for me, it wasn't such of a leap to go from Turbo Trainer to Wattbike, but I know for a lot of people, they really do not like it. So yeah, that's my top tip. You should definitely do that. So that's it. That's my kind of list of tips, list of things I've been able to come up with that have really improved the Wattbike for me over the last 15 months. So let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree with any of them. You probably disagree maybe with the smoothing opinion if you're a Wahoo owner. But yeah, doing these things has meant that I now use the bike a lot more, and I'm just enjoying using it a lot more. So yeah, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe for more cycling videos. There's all sorts on the channel. And I'll catch you in the next one.